I want to know if you think that what they did, storming the Capitol, in your opinion, is that right or wrong? Yes or no?
Well, it depends.
Yes or no?
So they were only
yes or no?
peacefully
Yes or
storming
no?
the cap. Hold on a second.
Please just yes
Peacefully.
or no. That's yes or no.
Well,
do you agree
hold on a
that
second.
it's a good thing that they did or a bad thing?
Can I?
Yes or no?
Can
you can answer yes or no.
Well, yes, and I'm answering it. Yes, because not everybody did that. So, for example, Siaka Massaquoi took 3 feet into the Capitol, said a prayer, and went out. Do you agree he should be hunted down by federal officials for 3 years and face 10 years in federal prison? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Is Trump your president?
No. He's my elected president, but he's not acting like a president.
He's not acting.
Hello everyone, I have this video from Charlie where he's approached by this liberal, and the way things develop and wrap up is shocking. I'll be offering my perspective as we watch. Let's dive into it.
Hello, I have 2 main points I want to talk about. So first off, I want to know your opinion on January 6th and the pardoning of... Okay.
No, that's a legitimate question.
Okay.
The pardoning's a legitimate question.
What's your opinion on that?
Everyone should be pardoned.
Okay, here is my thing I'm going to say about that. My father is a police officer, so if you're saying that someone injures him or kills him in the line of duty, I should support pardoning them?
So actually, that's not my position. My position is very simple.
You just said your position is everyone should be pardoned.
Well, hold on. Allow me to finish. I said everyone should be pardoned, but not because of what they were accused of doing, because they were deprived of due process. And here's the kicker, that the January 6 defendants were put in pretrial detention for nearly 2 years, many of whom were not given attorney representation. One attorney in particular made his defendant go watch videos saying that MAGA is brainwashing you and say, go unbrainwash yourself before the trial. A complete violation of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment. What I'm getting at, though, is that if you have, would you agree with the premise that if the tree is rotten, the fruit will be rotten?
I don't even know what you're referring to.
It's a metaphor.
No, my turn. So I want to know. I want to know if you think that what they did, storming the Capitol, in your opinion, is that right or wrong? Yes or no?
Well, it depends.
Yes or no?
So they were only
yes or no?
peacefully
yes
storming
no?
the Capitol. Hold on a second.
Please just yes
peacefully.
or no. That's yes or no.
Well,
do you agree
hold on a
that
second.
it's a good thing that they did or a bad thing?
Can I?
Yes or no?
Can
you can answer yes or no.
Well, yes, and I'm answering it. Yes, because not everybody did that. So, for example, Siaka Massaquoi took 3 feet into the Capitol, said a prayer, and went out. Do you agree he should be hunted down by federal officials for 3 years and face 10 years in federal prison? Yes or no? Yes or no? Answer. Yes or no? Okay, so you say yes. Got it. So, but however, I think what happened on January 6th, there was a lot of stuff I don't support. However, they were treated so terribly by our own government as political prisoners. Here is the truth. Even if you go do something as evil as shoot school, you deserve 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment protection rights. These January 6 defendants did not get their basic constitutional rights protected. They literally had to sleep on the ground of the D.C. jail as January 6 gulags. You look at these pictures, they had to go sleep on the floor with no food for days, acting as if that this was some sort of Moscow internment camp. What President Trump did was very simple. This was a statement towards the justice system. You guys did not treat these people, who some of which did very bad things, with basic constitutional due process rights. It was a pardon wiping the slate clean, saying, even the person who does the grossest thing should be able to have the same rights of due process and the presumption of innocence of somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong.
It truly boggles my mind, in a society that places so much value on higher education, many college students seem to be far from genuinely educated. Despite the time, money, and efforts invested in attending colleges and universities, there is a notable disconnect between the education that they are receiving and the knowledge or insight they actually possess. And this is sad, ladies and gentlemen, because instead of engaging in deep, thoughtful conversations or contributing with well-informed opinions, many students struggle to articulate meaning. They struggle to articulate meaningful thoughts or provide any substantial arguments. Can you imagine this? It's as if they've gone through years of schooling without truly grasping the core principles that should be central to their education. And this is crazy. This is crazy.
So exactly what you just said to me, I'm going to use your words. If someone shuts up a school, they should be pardoned if they do not get due process.
No. I said if someone shuts up a school, they deserve a lawyer. And someone shoots.
But if they do not get one, they should be pardoned.
Hold on. That's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying.
No, if someone shuts up a school, they deserve to have a lawyer the same way as if someone runs a traffic light. This is a basic human right. And these January 6th defendants did not have their human rights respected by the Biden Department of Justice. That is what these pardons are all about. It's not about the merits of what they did or did not do. Many of which, by the way, is largely exaggerated because 1,000 people peacefully walked into the people's house, said prayers, took pictures, and walked out. And the FBI sent on them as if they're narco drug criminals and cartel members. Many of them did absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, the police actually showed them around the interior of the Capitol. Many of the police officers said, hey, would you like to go look in this part of the Capitol? Would you like to look in this part of the Capitol? By the way, how many police officers were actually killed on that day?
Is it peaceful to
Zero.
hurt a police officer? Is that what you're saying?
I don't support.
You're saying
of course,
it's peaceful to hurt police officers
only a couple
and give them
dozen
mental
out of the
trauma
1,800
that they will have for the rest of their life. That's peaceful.
36 individuals out of 1,800 criminal indictments actually laid hands on a police officer.
But they should be pardoned, is what you're saying.
Not because of what they did or they were accused of, because they were never given a fair hearing. Let me give an example. A young man who was part of the scuffle pushed back on somebody that he did not know was a police officer. He was facing 15 years in federal prison and never had an opportunity to defend himself in federal court. Because his lawyer sucked and the judge hated him and he was never given due process or the opportunity to look at what is a very basic constitutional right, look at all of the January 6th footage, many of which is still under seal. So what the pardon is actually a pardon saying our justice system will never be perverted for political aims again. I'm not saying I support the attacking of police officers. I am saying we must keep the American justice system the best on the planet, unlike what Joe Biden and Merrick Garland did the last 4 years.
In a society without religion, everything would become acceptable to those who choose to live by their own standards, without the checks and balances provided by religious teachings that emphasize love, respect, compassion, and accountability. The understanding of right and wrong would no longer be anchored in universal principles. Just think about it. Or of the belief of a higher power or a moral lawgiver. Just think about it. Instead, it will be entirely subjective, with each individual deciding what actions are justified or ethical based on their own personal feelings or desires. Can you imagine that? I know to some people, they may view this as a freedom of expression, but it will lead to moral chaos. It will lead to moral chaos, as different people could easily justify harmful behavior simply because it aligns with their own self-interest.
I'm a clergy woman, I'm a Presbyterian, and I just moved here from Northern California, and I'm really afraid for democracy, and I hate that, authoritarianism and oligarchs are running this country now, and it's against everything I believe Jesus stood for.
Okay. Did you protest any of the Biden administration's actions or stances as a clergy woman in the Presbyterian Church?
Yeah, I wasn't happy with some of his stuff, but most of it, I've always supported peace, and I've always supported democracy, and I've always supported caring for the less fortunate, because that's what Jesus did. He cared about the vulnerable people, and he told us to do that as disciples. So. Have
you ever protested a pro-choice rally?
No, because I'm a member of Clergy for Choice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile what Jesus teaches about knitting children in their mother's wombs? And
Jesus never said anything about children in mother's wombs.
Okay.
He always cared about people that were vulnerable. And
do you think children in the womb count?
A lot of people disagree about when life begins.
What do you say?
But I think, like the early church fathers did, that after the first trimester, not until the baby moves, and a lot of religious traditions believe in a woman's right.
Which early church fathers believe that?
I'm trying to think. I think Origen. I think Augustine. Anyway.
You think they believed? You think?
Well, I know
you think
they
they
did.
believed that they would be pro-choice today?
Well, they believe in a woman's right to choose. It's her body.
Okay. Is Trump your president? No.
He's my elected president, but he's not acting like a president.
He's not acting. Why not? What do you think is the biggest qual that you have with Trump?
He's not using the law appropriately to figure out how to handle problems that may be, in fact, in place in our agencies. Rather, he's taking a destruct and maybe reconstruct position, and that is wrong under the law, and certainly not what we elected him to do.
What law do you think he might be breaking in doing this?
I'm a former lawyer. I can give you a whole list of them, but start with the Administrative Procedure Act. You can't get rid of regulations just by fiat. You can't take monies away from people who have been earning a wage in their employment. You can't dismiss people when they have rights under the federal employee laws. There, it goes on and on. He's breaking every one of them.
He doesn't want to mess with you.
Well, no, he doesn't.
By publicly acknowledging and living out our faith, we show the world that we are committed to something greater than personal success or self-interest. Yes, we demonstrate that our lives are guided by values that are transcend worldly concerns. This acknowledgement, ladies and gentlemen, also brings us into alignment with the Creator's purpose for our lives, which is love, to serve, to uplift others, salvation for humanity. The teachings of Jesus emphasize the importance of living a life of humility, kindness, and selflessness. You see, qualities that build strong, compassionate society. In summary, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ is an incredibly worthwhile mission. It brings about transformation, fosters love, hope, justice, truth, and brings about God's divine command. It grants eternal significance, brings deep joy to those who embrace it. Ultimately, it's the greatest gift we can offer, bringing lasting change to individuals and communities alike, and reflecting God's love and purpose for the world, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click on the next one. Don't forget to like, to comment, and subscribe. I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now.